Good morning, 5th grade. We're going to continue reading in our text, Homer P. Fig. But before we get started, we have an author's perspective warm-up. And so this is taken from Tuck Everlasting. At dawn, May Tuck set out on her horse for the wood at the edge of the village of Tree Gap. She was going there, as she did once every 10 years, to meet her two sons, Miles and Jesse, and she was feeling at ease. At noontime, Winnie Foster, whose family owned the Tree Gap Wood, lost her patience at last and decided to think about running away. All right. We need to think about what is the author's perspective. And so it sounds like the narrator is telling a story about May and about Winnie. And so, and I see the words she and her, but I do not see any I or me. So I'm thinking that this is third person. So for A, I would write the author's perspective is third person. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for part B. And it says, how do you know? And we know because the narrator is telling a story about May Tuck and Winnie Foster. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. It says, why does Homer act differently with Mr. Brewster than he acts with the other characters? What do Homer's actions reveal about the theme? All right, so we looked at how Homer treated Mrs. Bean yesterday, and today we're going to look at how he treats Mr. Brewster and compare the interactions. So we're on Chapter 9, and we're going to use our CSPS strategy. So I'm on page 44. The man who looks like God himself is Jebediah Brewster, owner of the house. He's got a long, flowing white beard, piercing blue eyes, and a booming voice that rattles the china when he bellows. Hello! A voice that freezes my brain and makes it hard to answer simple questions like, what be thy name, son? And where be thou home? Quaker talk. So we'll stop right there. We have Quaker is a type of religion. You are going to read some more articles about it, but Mr. Brewster says thee and thou because that is the way that Quakers talk. So he does talk a little funny. All right, and so we do have some information about our new character, Mr. Brewster. So in box 1A, we would write, Homer thinks Jebediah Brewster looks like God. Jebediah Brewster is the owner of the house. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. Sorry, the quote. And for the quote, we would write down that first sentence that says, the man who looks like God himself is Jebediah Brewster, owner of the house. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. We're on page 44. The young scalawag calls himself Homer and says he's from a place called Smelt, says Mrs. Bean, weighing in. The only truthful part of him is the part that's hungry. Smelt, hey? Very interesting, Mr. Brewster responds in a kindly way. All God's children are from somewhere. The precise location matters not. Thee be welcome in this house, Homer, whoever thee be and whatever has brought thee here. Mr. Brewster sits down at the table, adjusts his black sleeves, and announces that he will have a glass of cold water if Miss Bean would be so kind as to oblige. He thanks her, takes the glass in both hands, and drinks it in 3 long gulps. His big throat moves under his beard, and you can hear the water going down like it was leaking out of an old hand pump. So we'll stop right there because we have the setting. We know that Homer, Miss Bean, and Mr. Brewster are in the kitchen of Mr. Brewster's house. Press pause to write down your answer in 2A and play when you're ready for the quote. And we'll write down this quote at the bottom of page 44 onto the top of page 45. Mr. Brewster sits down at the table and adjusts his black sleeves and announces that he will have a glass of cold water if Miss Bean would be so kind as to oblige. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. We're at the middle of page 45. "The finest spring water," he announces, dabbing delicately at his beard with a linen napkin. That's what drew me to this particular location. Clear, cold spring water, steeped in the best minerals, keeps the guts healthy and purifies the blood. I intended to bottle it as an elixir and sell it by the drop, but in digging out the spring we encountered gemstones, and that became my business, just one of the Lord's many surprises. Mr. Brewster then folds his long-fingered hands like he's praying and studies me for a while, as if he's looking at my soul, if I got one, and finds it wanting. Makes me fit to fidget, being studied like that, and I managed to hold still. Because both of 'em waiting for me to tell a lie, I can sense that much. Does he know much about gemstones, Homer? Mr. Brewster asks, sweet as can be. Something in me wants to say my third cousin Curtis McTavish has been trading gems his whole life and recently come into possession of the world's largest ruby that he got off the window of Blackbeard the pirate, but the ruby is cursed. Ever since he got that ruby, turn the page, poor McTavish lives in fear. He's barricaded himself inside his own dungeon and believes that the ruby speaks to him in ghostly voices of all it has cursed. Of course, I don't have a cousin named Curtis McTavish, or any cousin I'm aware of, and I clamp my jaw shut until the urge passes. We'll stop right there because we have some information about the problem. We know that Mr. Brewster is expecting Homer to lie, but Homer is trying to resist the urge. So in box 3A, we will write, Mr. Brewster expects Homer to lie, but Homer resists the urge. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And there are two quotes we could write down. The first quote is on page 45 that says, because both of them are waiting for me to tell a lie, I can sense that much. So we would write that down, and you could also write down the second quote on page 46, and I clamp my jaw shut until the urge passes. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the solution. We're at the top of page 46. He's gone quiet, Miss Bean observed suspiciously. Maybe it was starving made him talk so. Mr. Brewster takes a deep breath and nods to himself as if satisfied. Homer Fig, he announces, thee may be an innocent stranger, or thee may be a spy sent by those who oppose us. Well, that was the fire alarm, so we're going to back up to the paragraph. Mr. Brewster takes a deep breath and nods to himself as if satisfied. Homer Fig, he announces, thee may be an innocent stranger, or thee may be a spy sent by those who oppose us, but one thing is clear to me. God has a hand in this, and he would not have us turn away a hungry child. So we'll stop right there because even though Mr. Brewster is suspicious of Homer, he does believe that God sent Homer to him. So in 4A, we would write, Mr. Brewster agrees to help Homer because he thinks God sent Homer to him. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And you would write down this quote in the middle of page 46. God has a hand in this, and he would not have us turn away a hungry child. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. And for the paragraph, it says, how does Homer respond to challenge? What does this reveal about his character? And so you would think about that problem or that challenge Homer was facing and how he decided to handle it.